You beat Arkansas. It wasn't pretty. It came down to the wire. It was a lot closer than I think we all expected it to be. But a win is a win, and you take it and you move on. But there was two aspects of the defense that were exposed against Arkansas that are becoming a habit, and it's concerning for this LSU defense.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome in to Locked On LSU. Appreciate you for making Locked On LSU your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Plus, you can also check us out on YouTube as well, so you can listen in addition to watching the podcast. Today's edition of Locked On LSU is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, for $20 off your first purchase. So let's get into it, because the most important thing is you won. The most important thing is you're 2-0 in the SEC. The most important thing is you've beaten two SEC West teams, and you are now the only team in the SEC West that's won two SEC games. So we take that for whatever it's worth. You got the win. That's the most important thing. But I will always say, in a loss, you can find good things. In a win, you can find some bad things. Because even though a win is a win, that game against Arkansas was much closer than Arkansas had any business making it. So what was the problem? What was the issue? What was the glaring problem that arose against Arkansas that seems to become a trend? Now, look, the offense struggled in the first half. The offense was slow. The offense sputtered a bit. Jayden Daniels looked out of rhythm. The run game couldn't really get a lot going. But in the second half, any issues or any concerns that you may have had about the offense, throw them completely out the window because they figured it out. Now, a slow start offensively is absolutely a concern in and of itself, because that's now the second game this season that you've had a slow start, and that's a completely different problem that we'll get into on a different day. I want to focus defensively. There were two very glaring issues for this LSU defense that seem to have been plaguing this LSU defense against top-level opponents. It's Florida State and now against Arkansas. But if they're an issue against Arkansas, they're probably going to be an issue against Ole Miss and against Alabama and against Texas A&M. Now, credit to Arkansas. They played their butts off. I mean, Arkansas played a hell of a game. Like, everyone was saying going into this season that KJ Jefferson was the best quarterback in the SEC, and I kind of laughed at that. I kind of scoffed at that. I think KJ Jefferson showed you on Saturday night why he deserved those kinds of accolades. So that's no disrespect to Arkansas in the slightest. It's just that you've got bigger and more difficult games on your schedule, and you can't afford to keep all of those games close, and you can't afford to start all of those games slowly. But this is an issue that we saw against Florida State and against Arkansas. The first defensive issue is third down defense. Arkansas was 8 of 13 on third downs against LSU, 62%. Now, compare that to Arkansas before this LSU game, the first three games of the season. Arkansas was only converting 43% of their third downs. So against BYU, they were 2 of 13 on third down. Against you, they were 8 of 13. Now, I'll give credit where credit is due, and I will give credit to the aspect in the area of the defense that I've been giving credit to all week long, and rightfully so, and that was red zone defense. Because most of the third downs that you held Arkansas to came in the red zone. On Arkansas' second possession, it was 3rd and goal. You held them to a field goal. Sounds good to me. On Arkansas' fourth possession, 3rd and goal at the LSU 5, you held them to a field goal. Now, they did convert 1 third down in that series. However, when it mattered at your goal line, you stopped them. You held them to a field goal as opposed to 7. I'll take it. On Arkansas's first possession, they went 3 and out. So, of course, you stopped on a third down there. And then the first possession of the second half on that fake field goal, you got the Deshaun Womack sack on 3rd and 16. So you held them there. Yet another trip to the red zone where you held Arkansas to either just a field goal. We held them to a field goal on third down in the red zone. All good things. And then the final fifth third down was a Arkansas false start. So that wasn't, that's not on you. You didn't do anything there. That's just the Tiger Stadium effect there with all of Arkansas's false starts. It was one of many on Saturday night. So that was really like the third downs that you held Arkansas to. Really, the third downs that you stopped Arkansas, they were all in the red zone, which is a good thing. Like I'm not about to look a gift horse in the mouth and say that you shouldn't be stopping Arkansas on third down in the red zone, but that was the only third down that you really stopped. Because on Arkansas's first field goal drive, you gave up a 3rd and 10. KJ Jefferson ran for 25 yards. 3rd and 4, KJ Jefferson 7-yard pass. On their second field goal drive, again, you held them to a field goal when they were at 3rd and goal at your 7. And you held them to a field goal. So a good thing, but you let them convert on a 3rd and 5 with an 8-yard pass. On their first touchdown drive, you let them convert on a 3rd and 9 with a 14-yard pass. Let's get into the second half. Their first field goal, they convert on 4th and 2 for the fake field goal, and that was that great Whit Weeks, Deshaun Womack, Makai Wingo sequence when they were just all over KJ Jefferson. So that was, solid defense there. But in their first touchdown in the second half, you're leading 24-16. So you're feeling good about yourself. The defense got that huge stop when Arkansas faked the field goal, and you still held them to a field goal. Huge defensive momentum there. LSU's offense started gaining some traction. You now have the lead. So what I'm saying here late in the third quarter is just protect that lead. Don't get yourself into a shootout. Maybe I didn't say it loud enough because they didn't hear me, and they got themselves into a shootout. So you're leading 24-16. Gave up a 3rd and 1. I really can't be mad about that because with a quarterback that's 250 pounds and can roll out and run, they're probably going to convert in a 3rd and 1. So I can't really get mad about that. But what I can get mad about is the fact that you gave up 12 yards in a 2nd and 13. That was the problem. That's what set up the 3rd and 1. And then you gave up a 3rd and 6, and that was KJ. You had so much pressure on the quarterback. KJ rolls out. He escapes all of the pressure, and he's able to make the beautiful 59-yard pass to Luke Haas, their tight end, in the end zone. So they convert on a 3rd and 6 there. Their final touchdown drive, they convert on a 3rd and 4. And then, it was 3rd and 4. They didn't convert in 3rd and 4. It was 3rd and 4. Arkansas had yet another false start that hurt them all night long. So it backs them up to 3rd and 9, and they convert on a 3rd and 9 with a 26-yard pass. Then another 3rd and 1. I can't nitpick the 3rd and 1s, honestly. You do what you can. And then the 3rd and 18. That was the one that really just bugged me. You are getting yourself into a shootout where every single possession matters, where you're trying to get stops, where you don't put the pressure on your offense to get into the end zone on every single freaking possession. They're at 3rd and 18, and I'm thinking, just don't get a flag here. Just stop them. And at 3rd and 18, that's a really difficult down to convert. Just stop them here. Don't get a flag. Move on. Get the ball back. Your offense is moving. Get into the end zone. Extend your lead. But no, that was the roughing call on Harold Perkins. And I know that Brian Kelly said that it was ticky-tacky, and I know that Brian Kelly was trying to make excuses for Harold Perkins. But really, in that situation, that is one instance late in the game when it's a shootout. When they're going to be able to get into the end zone, when it's a 3rd and 18 and your defense has been doing the work and Arkansas's offense just cannot stop themselves from a false start, and you draw a roughing the passer penalty. I mean, that's the one thing that you cannot do. You have to be so much extra careful. And look, I get it. He's a big guy. There's a lot of momentum. KJ's a big quarterback. You need to get going, able to get him down. But in that situation, you need to practice a little bit more discipline. So when you look at that, I mean, they're converting on 3rd and 18 because of a dumb mistake from Harold Perkins. They're converting on a 3rd and 9. They're converting on a 3rd and 10. Simply unacceptable 3rd down defense from LSU. But that wasn't the first time that came up. And that's what I want to continue getting into coming up next. I feel like this past summer was the summer of stressful ticket buying experiences. Whether you're trying to go to Taylor Swift's Eras tour, or if you were like me, I live in Nashville, trying to get tickets to go see Lionel Messi at Nashville SC play just a couple of months ago, and the tickets were ridiculously expensive. You would have to wait in hours long virtual lines. It was nearly impossible to get tickets for these events. I mean, it should not be stressful to find tickets for your favorite artist in their concert or your favorite team to go to their games or any events. It should not be stressful to buy tickets, but you don't have to worry with Game Time because Game Time is fast and it's an easy way to buy tickets for all of your sporting events, concerts, comedy events, and theater events near you. They've got killer last minute deals, all in prices, and views from your seat and their best price guarantee. I mean, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. How many times have you gone to a third party ticket website and you're thinking to yourself, well, I hope that this is an unobstructed view. I just hope that the fees at the end of this aren't going to cost more than the actual ticket themselves. It's frustrating. It should not have to be. And one of my favorite things about the Game Time app is for all of you procrastinators like me out there, they've got great last minute tickets and flash deals and zone deals. So, leading up to the event, you're still going to be able to find tickets and you also could get some really great deals in the process. I mean, Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. No big polls or obstructed views, none of that. Game Time will give you a full peek into your in-game experience. All the prices that are shown are your total upfront. So you know that you're getting a great deal without all of the hidden processing fees and everything that you're going to get with third-party ticketing sites. So you can buy tickets in just seconds with two taps. Just open the Game Time app, click the event, click checkout, and then you are covered. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On College. That is LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Well, thanks again for making Locked On LSU your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And hey, college football season is here. In this season, Locked On is kicking up our coverage with Locked On College Football Kickoff Live. Every Friday, Locked On will go live from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 10 a.m. to noon local Baton Rouge time on every Locked On College YouTube account. College Football Kickoff Live will cover playoff implications, the conference rivalry games, and go in depth like only Locked On can, including insight and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every single day. So find Locked On College Football Kickoff Live every Friday from 10 a.m. to noon Central on any Locked On College YouTube channel, including Locked On LSU. So if you're watching on the YouTube page, you can come back right here at 10 a.m. Central on Friday and you'll find College Football Kickoff Live. I promise you, you will not want to miss it. So, third down defense is a problem for LSU. It was a problem against Arkansas. Arkansas, a team that throughout this season before the LSU game was converting less than 43% of their third downs. An Arkansas team that converted only 2 of their 13 third downs against BYU last week. They converted 62% of their third downs, 8 for 13. Simply unacceptable third down defense for the amount of talent that this defense has on it. Now, the reason why this is such a pressing problem is one, your defense needs to get off the field on third down. Your defense can't be on the field all day long. They're going to be gassed. They're going to be exhausted. And by the second half, they're going to be so much less effective than they were off the jump because they're exhausted. They've been on the field all day long. Second of all, obviously, you want to take offensive opportunities away from your opponent. And third of all, because this isn't new. Because the last game that we saw this LSU team struggle was against Florida State. Florida State converted 9 of their 14 third downs, 64%, eerily similar to Arkansas's 62. And against Florida State, you gave up a 3rd and 13. On the same drive, you gave up a 3rd and 6 and a 3rd and 12. You gave up the 4th and 2, and then you gave up a 3rd and 8 and a 3rd and 6. That's just way too many third and medium, third and long kind of situations that you're allowing offenses to convert on. And that is a problem. KJ Jefferson is a good quarterback. I just said I defended anyone who said that KJ Jefferson might be the best quarterback in the SEC. KJ Jefferson's got some weapons now, and unfortunately, I learned a lot of their names on Saturday night because I'm thinking, is anybody gonna maybe try and defend that true freshman tight end Luke Haas, who just seems to just be running all over the field, and KJ Jefferson seems to just find him for a chef's kiss beautiful pass nearly every single time. Like maybe want to defend him a little bit. But between Florida State and Arkansas, the third down defense was a problem. Now, against Mississippi State, it was a near flawless game. Against Grambling, you're not going to be tested too much. But so far through 4 games, LSU is averaging opposing offenses, they're allowing them to convert 50% of their third downs. That's 119th in college football. There are 133 teams in college football. You are one of the worst teams in the country in terms of stopping teams on third down. And now, look, I get it. Some teams play cupcakes. Like Kentucky has played 3 out of conference cupcake games in Vanderbilt. Look, I get it. I understand. Not every team in college football has played the offenses or the gauntlet of a schedule that you have. But also, not every team in college football has conference championship aspirations. Not every team in college football has a Mason Smith and a Mekhi Wingo and a Harold Perkins and the players that you have defensively. With the amount of talent on this team, there is simply no excuse to be 119th in college football and allowing third down conversions. You are going to get yourself in so many jams if that trend continues. Now, how do you fix it? I don't think that players just all of a sudden forget how to do their jobs on third down. Like, if you can stop them in the red zone, like LSU was able to do so well on Saturday against Arkansas, you can stop them at the 50-yard line when it's 3rd and 12. But what's the difference there? When you're in the red zone, your field's about this big. And if you're listening on the podcast, my hands are just 2 inches apart. Your field's not large. When you're at, let's say the Arkansas 40, when you're at the 50, when you're at the LSU 44, your field's a lot bigger. The amount of grass that this LSU defense has to cover is much larger. What's your weakness defensively? It's the secondary. So I think that when we break down third down defense and we look at so many of these issues, well, it was, let's say, 3rd and 6 and KJ Jefferson just hits Luke Haas for a 59-yard touchdown pass. Well, I mean, if your defensive line can't get to the quarterback, there's not really much that the defensive line can do. That falls on the secondary. So I think the secondary continues to prove that it is very much so a problem. Now, I think part of it also falls on coaching because, like I said, you don't just all of a sudden forget how to do your job on third down. Part of that does fall on the coaching staff. Part of that does fall on the defensive game plan. I think we saw against Arkansas that the game plan was, let's just get to KJ Jefferson up the middle. Let's stuff the run. Let's stop what the quarterback can do. But every time that KJ Jefferson was able to, throw the long ball and hit a receiver downfield, the secondary really just was inept. The secondary couldn't stop what they were doing. So the defensive game plan was, let's get to the quarterback up front and just hope for the best, which might work. It worked with Will Rogers. Got to the quarterback, you stuffed the run, you were really fierce up front. That worked because they weren't going to air out the football. That might work against Jalen Milroe in Alabama, a team whose strength lies in the run rather than, your intermediate 10, 15, 20-yard passes. But I don't know if that's going to work this weekend against Jackson Dart, where if your job is just, let's just get to the quarterback up front and hope that the secondary can hold up and not get a DPI call. So part of it's personnel and part of it's coaching. And there's another aspect to the defense that I do think also falls on coaching. And we'll get into that coming up next. So if you are maybe missing syrup for your pancakes or you just ran out of your favorite coffee creamer, maybe it's early in the morning and you don't really want to go to the grocery store, you don't have time to go to the grocery store before you have to leave for work, then go to DoorDash. because DoorDash is not just for delivering your favorite restaurants anymore. DoorDash is also for grocery delivery. You can get whatever you want right to your door whenever you need it. Like I said, you can go to DoorDash and you've been going to DoorDash to deliver your restaurant favorites. I know that I do that all the time, but now you can get groceries delivered as well. Thousands of grocery stores to choose from, and you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy with each and every order. And you'll get exactly what you ordered, or we'll make it right. So sit back and enjoy quality groceries just like you picked them out yourself, but without the stress and the hassle of going to the grocery store, finding a parking spot, getting a grocery buggy out. It's a lot. We know it's a whole ordeal. Let DoorDash do the hard work for you. Plus, you can also get 50% off of your DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use code Locked On College at checkout. Limited time offer, terms apply. That's 50% off up to $20, no minimum subtotal, and zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code Locked On College. Don't forget that's code Locked On College for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. All right, well, thanks again for making Locked On LSU your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up on tomorrow's edition of Locked On LSU, we will have a Mailbag Wednesday. So get those questions in for a Mailbag Wednesday. You can send them out on Twitter at CarolineFenton1. You can tweet them at me, or you can just DM them to me. You can comment them below if you're watching on the YouTube page. Comment those questions below, and we'll get into that on tomorrow's edition of Locked On LSU. Plus, also, I have a fun little side bonus episode in store for everyone. Two LSU faces graze the cover of SI, of Sports Illustrated. So we will talk to the author of that article, what went into it, what it means for LSU and NIL, so on and so forth. A nice little fun bonus episode for y'all coming up on tomorrow's edition of Locked On LSU as well. But look, third down defense for this team absolutely positively is a problem. It was a problem against Arkansas. 8 of 13. Arkansas was 8 of 13 on third downs on Saturday. Florida State, they were 9 of 14. That was a problem. Your defense needs to be getting off the field on third down, especially when you're allowing them to convert on third and long situations. There is absolutely no reason why Florida State should be converting on a 3rd and 12. There's absolutely no reason that Harold Perkins should get a roughing the passer call on 3rd and 18 at the end of the game when you're in an offensive shootout. There is absolutely no reason for that. The other part that's a little bit concerning to me, and I think it ultimately falls on the coaching staff, and I think it ultimately falls on Matt House, is the second half defense. This is now the second game in 4 games, second, piece of a sample size where the defense struggled to stop the Arkansas or Florida State in the second half. Against Florida State, you give up 31 points. And a big aspect of that is they just ran away with it in the fourth quarter and your team just kind of gave up. But you gave up 18 points to Arkansas in the second half. Now, some of that, those defensive woes maybe covered up against Arkansas because your offense was able to get into a shootout and win, which is awfully refreshing and very nice to see from an LSU team. But again, I'll reiterate what I said about third down defense. You have way too much talent on this team. You have way too much talent on this defense to give up 18 points and a half. It's concerning. And just like I said, players don't forget how to do their job on third down. Players don't all of a sudden just forget how to play defense in the second half. You don't go into the locker room after the first half after you're able to stop Arkansas on 2 or 3. When did that fake field happen? Beginning of the second half. When you're able to stop Arkansas on 2 red zone trips, you don't all of a sudden just go to the locker room, get brainwashed, and forget how to do your job. It's one part of it is on the secondary. We knew that was going to be a problem for this team going into the season. And it also it's rearing its ugly head now that we're in the brunt of the season. You just hope that the guys up front can do their jobs so you're not putting a ton of pressure on the secondary. I also think some of it comes from a lack of adjustments, and that falls on Matt House, and that ultimately falls on Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly's got a headset on. Brian Kelly's in charge of the coordinators. Brian Kelly can call some of those audibles and make those adjustments as needed. So there's just really there's just no excuse for it. That's my overall overarching theme and message. allowing 8 of 13 third down conversions against Arkansas, 9 of 14 third down conversions against Florida State, 31 points in the second half against Florida State, 18 points in the second half against Arkansas. You need more from the coaching staff. You got to coach better. You need cleaner play from the defense, because that was 1 3rd and 18, that roughing on Harold Perkins that got you into a little bit of a jam. When I say a little bit, I mean a lot of it. And your offense was able to bail you out of it. And look, Harold Perkins does so many great things for this team. I understand that. But he's not exempt from calls that really do hurt the football team, really do shoot themselves in the foot. I mean, Arkansas had how many false, I don't have it up in front of me, but had almost double-digit false start penalties. I want to say it was maybe 7 or 8 false start penalties on Saturday night. Penalties can kill you. Penalties hurt your football team, especially when it's a roughing on 3rd and 18. They get an automatic first down. So you got to coach better. You got to play better. And in the second half, you need to make those adjustments. And you need to expect the offense to make adjustments as well. That maybe, just maybe, sometimes your defensive game plan that worked in the first half might not necessarily work in the second. I don't think that you're going to play a whole lot of teams like Mississippi State that insist on running the football no matter what. There's some smart offensive coordinators out there. There are some good coaches in this league, and you've got a bunch of them coming up on your schedule. Instead of reacting, or maybe even, being reluctant to react, outsmart them. You have probably the best defensive line in the SEC. You have such incredible playmakers. Why are you giving up 18 points in the second half? So I get it. I know. You won. That is the most important thing, is that you are now 2-0 in the SEC. That you were able to take down Arkansas, as ugly as it got, as uncomfortable as it got. You got to win. But you got Ole Miss coming up this weekend. It's a solid offense, as bad as they look sometimes against Alabama. It's a solid offense. Jackson Dart has been heating up. Quinshon Judkins is one of the best, if not the best, running backs in the SEC, even if he hasn't necessarily looked like it through 4 weeks. You got a good offense and a really good offensive play caller coming up in Oxford on their home turf coming up this weekend. Defense needs to start getting some of these things together. Coming up on tomorrow's edition of Locked in LSU, Mailbag Wednesday, plus a fun little NIL LSU surprise on a bonus episode of Locked in LSU.